Hey everyone, welcome here to Weather on the Go. We're going to be doing a live Q&A here on the tornado outbreak expected as we go through Sunday. So we're going to mainly be talking about today, Friday, and Saturday. But if you have, of course, any questions, we'll also answer them about Sunday as well in the live stream. So again, thank you all for joining here on this beautiful Thursday, April 25th. We do have a risk of severe weather today across portions of the Great Plains. So we're going to look here at the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook. This was as of 11:30 this morning with their update. And let's look at that here without further ado. And we can see the potential for severe weather today is pretty decent across portions of especially the Great Plains. It's kind of a bimodal threat of severe weather. We have an enhanced risk of severe weather here in level 3 out of 5 on the risk scale from the Storm Prediction Center across western Kansas. We also have another enhanced risk area, level 3 out of 5 on the risk scale across southwestern Oklahoma and into northwest Texas. And if we kind of take this off and kind of go back here and show you some of the cities that are impacted by these enhanced risk areas, we can look here into western Kansas first. We have the Colby, Kansas area, Hill City down toward Hayes. That stretches down here to Garden City and near Dodge City, Kansas. We have the potential for some severe weather is the greatest here. This is a level 3 out of 5 on the severe risk scale there into Kansas. Some of the areas that are with a slight risk surrounding that, up here into Nebraska, for example, we do have the Kearney area over there toward Grand Island. That stretches south to Salina, Kansas, Great Bend, the Pratt area, Hutchinson, and over there towards Wichita. We even have kind of a sneaky area of a slight risk back here into the Nebraska Panhandle, Scotts Bluff to Kimball, all the way up there toward Chadron, and also down into the Emporio, Nebraska region. So we're kind of keeping an eye on that little sneaky area of severe weather as well. Let's move down to the far southern area with an enhanced risk today. This is across the portions of northwest Texas, like I mentioned, the Childress region, Vernon, Texas, down here to Wichita Falls. That extends over into southwestern Oklahoma. We're talking the Norman and Oklahoma City area, Lawton, including Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So we're keeping an eye on that as we go through today. Other areas on the far southern side here in the slight risk in the yellow, that's a 2 out of 5. Into the Woodward area, Enid, that stretches over to Elk City and El Reno. That stretches over there into Ardmore, down into the western side of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, into Abilene, San Angelo, Lubbock, and Amarillo. So those guys, you folks over here, you guys are in that slight risk, that level 2 out of 5. So let's go over the risk scale here for today of the different hazards of these storms as we go through today. The biggest hazard is actually going to be large hail. So large hail is actually going to be the biggest deal with these storms. Some of these storms could be producing hailstones in excess of 2 inches in diameter here across portions of, say, southwestern Nebraska, northeastern Colorado into west central Kansas. That stretches down into the Oklahoma Panhandle, into western Oklahoma, into the eastern Texas Panhandle, into northwest and west central Texas here. So the western plains kind of in play here with that hail threat, which we could see those hailstones over 2 inches in diameter. And if you kind of don't know what a 2-inch diameter hailstone is, 2 inches in diameter is actually hen egg size. So if you've ever seen a hen egg before, that would be 2 inches in diameter, and we could be seeing hailstones at least that, if not a little bit bigger today. We could be seeing tennis ball, baseball, even softball size hail is on the table here with the threat of severe weather. And folks, if you just are joining here, we are doing a live tornado outbreak Q&A. We're going to be answering any and all your questions here, so hang tight. We're kind of going to go over some of the risks like we are now. We're also going to be going over more of the timing of the storms, the breakdown of why we're seeing severe weather. So thank you all for joining. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel as we will keep you covered around the clock here. Moving over to the tornado threat. Looking at the tornado threat here, we do have a broad brushed area from the Storm Prediction Center of a 2, even a 5% chance of tornadoes in the dark green and brown shaded colors respectively. We also have a small area here into western Kansas, and that's a yellow area with hatched marks in it. That's what those dashed lines are. That means there's a 10% chance of a strong tornado in western portions of Kansas as we go through the event today. So we're keeping a close eye there on that. And then we're kind of looking more at the wind threat as well. We do have a threat for wind as well. It's not the greatest threat for wind. We still do have a 30% probability here for wind, especially with that southernmost enhanced risk area down here into northwest Texas, into southwestern portions of Oklahoma, basically from Oklahoma City and Norman, south and west through Lawton, Fort Sill. That extends across portions into northwest Texas, Vernon, Childress, and over there toward Wichita Falls. That has the 30% probability of those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts or greater as we go through today. So let's head over here to Weather Bell and show you what we are looking at with the setup for severe weather as we go through today. Hopefully you folks can see the screen very well on here. Maybe a little small, but again, just make sure we're kind of keeping some of the parameters in line here and kind of showing you what the parameters are for today. So let's look here at the moisture. This is your dew point temperatures going through into the evening hours here. Look at the dry line down here into portions of, say, western Kansas, western Oklahoma, into the Texas Panhandle. Look at that. Amarillo, folks, will be at 15 degrees Fahrenheit with the dew point this evening. This is around 7 p.m. this evening. But notice, about literally 30 miles down the street to the east of Amarillo, we will have dew points climbing from 15 degrees Fahrenheit up to around 60, 61, 62 degrees Fahrenheit. That's very moist, very unstable. On the other side of that dry line, that's the warm sector. Notice that the dew points are advecting north out of the Gulf of Mexico here, all the way up into Oklahoma and Texas, but also Kansas. Those dew point temperatures along and south of that warm front as it lifts north will definitely be into the 60s here. And notice, look at that, folks. The dew points are just going to continue to crank up there into the 60s as we go deeper overnight tonight, even maybe approaching 70 degrees with those dew points there into Oklahoma City, into portions there of, say, the Norman area, into Lawton. Maybe those mid-60 dew points up there towards Dodge City, Kansas, as we do go through the evening hours as we go through tonight. Let's look at that, though. Let's look at the instability here. We have some strong CAPE. This is your convective available potential energy, and as we go back through and look at that as we go, say, into this evening time frame, 6 p.m., look at the instability values down here across portions of Kansas, especially southwestern Kansas, western Oklahoma, and into eastern Texas Panhandle. That could extend down there into portions of north central Texas. Those instability values will be moderate to strong. So we're talking 2,000s, if not 3,000s joules per kilogram here with our instability. So very formidable, very readily unstable for severe weather as we go through the day. Look at the supercell composite. This basically shows all the parameters, moisture, instability, wind shear, and puts it into one composite parameter. And you can see this is definitely showing some higher values on here. So we're definitely seeing the potential for supercells. And notice as those values climb, even after dark, folks, look at that. The scale goes up to 50 here, and we're maxing out at 45, 46 here. So very high-end supercell potential today down here across portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, and into Texas. So that is something to definitely keep in mind. We definitely could have the threat for that as we go into this evening. And then we'll look at also a parameter we look at for tornado potential. This is basically a significant tornado parameter. What this again does is it takes all of the wind shear profiles in the atmosphere and basically puts it into one parameter space. And you can see as we go into later this afternoon, along the warm front, we're kind of seeing those values peaking there into west central and central Kansas. As that warm front starts to move northward, we're going to start to see those values climb. But watch as the low-level jet starts to kick in. Look at that across portions of the eastern Texas Panhandle at first. We could see those values peaking around 14s, and that's out of 10, folks. So that's 14 out of 10 into the eastern Texas Panhandle. As we go into the evening, look at that widespread area there, all the way up not only into the eastern Texas Panhandle, but western Oklahoma, southwestern Kansas. Those values go all the way to 14s, and they stay there as we go through that time frame. So definitely something to keep in mind with the tornado threat. So let's look here at the timing of the storms as they move through as we go through the day here. So let's look first. This is noon time frame. And if you look on the radar, there's likely to be some showers and some thunderstorms to the north of that warm front across Kansas here into western Missouri, southeastern Nebraska. This is more elevated thunderstorms. These are likely not severe. These are likely thunderstorms only capable of maybe some isolated large hail and some isolated gusty winds. The tornado threat here through the rest of this morning and into the early afternoon hours is very low. So we're not really worried about that. As we go into about 3 o'clock this afternoon, notice we start to see a little bit more thunderstorm development a little bit further south here near the southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma state line. Now, this could lead to some supercells trying to develop here in this environment. If they become surface-based as we go into the mid-afternoon hours, we could have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, maybe a tornado warning here in this environment near the Tulsa area. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Notice back near the dry line here, western Kansas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, the Texas Panhandle, we're really not seeing much happening even as of 3 o'clock this afternoon. We fast forward the time here to 6 p.m. and notice, boom, we start to see storms igniting on that dry line across first into western Kansas and southwest Nebraska, and then we start to erode that cap further to the south. Remember, New Mexico folks are in a significant drought. We have severe, extreme, even parts of New Mexico in an exceptional drought. And if you've ever heard of a term called an EML and you're wondering what in the heck is an EML, and it's an elevated mix layer. It's basically a fancy wording for a capping inversion. And what a capping inversion is, you have warm surface temperatures, but as you go up aloft, you have that warm, shallow layer aloft, just a few thousand feet above our heads, folks, above where we live, and that's actually suppressing thunderstorm development across portions of the plains, especially with southward extent into the Texas Panhandle here, into the Oklahoma Panhandle, and west central Texas this afternoon. The cap's not as strong up here into western Kansas or southwest Nebraska. It's there, but it's not as strong, so it weakens faster, and that's where we start to see more of those storms developing. And also it has help with the low level, the wind field as well. So we have the low level jet starting to crank in, kind of eroding that. We have a low pressure system on the lee side of the Rockies there in eastern Colorado, helping to erode that. So there's a lot more going for the storms up here into western Kansas. And that's actually why the Storm Prediction Center has that 10% hatched risk for tornadoes, and a strong tornado may be possible in western Kansas, because look at the storm mode here. 6 p.m. this evening, storm mode, isolated, widely scattered. You notice not a lot of storm interaction here. They're kind of by themselves. So large hail, number one, that's going to be the biggest threat here at 6 o'clock this evening, followed by that strong tornado risk, and that's going to be maximized there across portions of western Kansas. Because we go back to the parameter space here, notice at 6 o'clock this evening, right near the warm front, yes, that's where those storms will be firing up. And that's where those values are peaking up near 13s, 14s on the significant tornado parameter space. So we definitely have to keep that in mind as we go through that, late afternoon, early evening time frame. Now let's go back here and let's look more into the evening hours. So we first start to see storms igniting 5, 6 o'clock here this afternoon into this evening. Then as we go into around, let's go 9 p.m. here. Notice those supercells that develop in western Kansas actually kind of lift more north and east along with that track of the surface low. These could be rooted on the warm front. The southernmost cell is going to be the one that could have the best potential of producing tornadoes. But notice there's a couple other cells that attempt, at least making attempts at developing as we go into even the mid-evening hours. And if we kind of go down here and look at the low-level jet, looking at the low-level jet, we're already seeing that up to almost 60 knots, folks, as some of these isolated, discrete, semi-discrete supercells are developing, and this is actually going to help them rotate. So even if you see one thunderstorm or two storms on the radar, those could be significant if they can overcome that capping inversion through the afternoon here. You can definitely see that low-level jet really going to be cranking as we go into the evening and actually strengthening. Look at that. Those colors get a little bit darker there as we go deeper towards that midnight time frame. This is midnight, 62, 63 knot low-level jet. is actually very significant here across Kansas, western Oklahoma, and northwest Texas. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And we kind of go back here and look at the composite reflectivity. We have an ongoing, almost kind of an MCS going on there in Nebraska. Very heavy rain. This will likely be more elevated as well, more hail producers up there in Nebraska. But look at this, folks. Down here into Texas, Amarillo, Lubbock on eastward toward Vernon, Childress, into the Wichita Falls region. That southernmost mode of that enhanced risk. Really need to be keeping an eye on these storms down here as we go. That's midnight, folks. And then as we go through that time frame, they kind of grow upscale as they cross over the eastern Texas panhandle and into western, southwestern Oklahoma. This is as of 2 a.m. in the morning. So this is a concerning look. This is an overnight setup for severe weather. Very well, storms could be firing up as we go into the early evening hours. It does look like the max potential for the most significant severe weather is actually shaping up to be more of the evening, late evening that would be, and into the overnight hours. So this is going to be a well after dark event for portions here of the plains. So again, make sure to have multiple ways to receive severe weather watches and warnings. This could include a NOAA weather radio. Those are very helpful. Make sure to have your smartphones and smart devices charged, whether it's, again, a smartphone, a tablet, a laptop, anything that can alert you for severe weather is always key during these overnight events. So let's see here in the chat. Let's see who we got. We have a slight risk for, let's see here. Slight risk for Terre Haute. We're not looking at Terre Haute right now. Let's see here. Seems like... I got a lot of people here, it looks like from the Midwest, that's talking about in the chat here. So let's see. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people from Indiana here, and Ohio, and Illinois, and Iowa. Yeah, you guys in Iowa definitely have to watch, more so on Friday and Saturday. We'll get to that here in just a minute. We're talking about Thursday right now. Again, this is Thursday setup. This is for today. So this is the setup we're watching for today. Again, thank you all for joining. If you are here, make sure to press that like button and subscribe here to the channel. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, that's the setup that we look at for today. This is going to, again, what we showed you is what you're going to get here as we go through the evening hours. Again, this is mainly an evening and overnight setup for your Thursday. It's going to be a bimodal threat. I think the first far southern threat is going to be more of a large hail, damaging wind threat with an isolated tornado on the far southern enhanced risk. So if we go back down here on the outlook, this far southern enhanced risk down here into northwest Texas, into southwestern Oklahoma. This is more going to be a hail, like a very large hail and a damaging wind threat with an isolated tornado possible. This northern enhanced risk in western Kansas is actually going to be closer to the track of the surface low. Low level wind shear is going to be stronger up here near the surface low. We have backing of the winds right along the warm front. You're going to be near the warm front up there in western Kansas. I think this area is more primed for some significant tornado potential. Again, this will be during the evening into the overnight hours. Also, I think very large hail and some damaging winds will be in play. But I think the main mode up here in western Kansas with the northern enhanced risk will be significant tornadoes and large to very large hail followed by damaging winds. So that's what it looks like for today. So if you have any questions about Thursday, we can answer those here. Otherwise, we can talk now about Friday's setup for severe weather. And again, I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys joining me this early afternoon. I appreciate it. We're on the road now to 100,000 subscribers, so I would love to hit that here sometime this summer, and that you could help by subscribing to the channel down below. All right, let's talk about Friday's severe weather setup. More of a potent day for severe weather as we go into Friday. We actually do have another enhanced risk of severe weather extending into eastern and southeast Nebraska, southwestern Iowa, into northeast Kansas, northwestern Missouri. Some of the areas impacted by this enhanced risk, and kind of back out of here and show you real quick like. So let's go up here and look at that real quick. So some of the cities in line for this enhanced risk as we go into Friday. This is tomorrow, folks, on April 26th, 2024. Omaha, so the metro area entirely of Omaha, very close to Lincoln. You're just in the slight risk there in Lincoln, but it's very close, literally 20 miles probably to the east of you down the road. You have that enhanced risk. So Omaha into the Lamani area, down into St. Joseph, Topeka, Kansas City, and Olathe. So if you guys live in those areas, you are in that level level 3 out of 5, that enhanced risk of severe weather. A large, broad brushed area of a slight risk in the yellow. That is a 2 out of 5 on the scale from Spencer, Iowa, back down there towards Sioux City and Norfolk in Nebraska. That stretches over to Ames and Des Moines, over here towards Waterloo, stretching down to Kirksville, Columbia, and Jefferson City. That stretches southward into the Rolla area, Lebanon, and also down in towards Springfield, Missouri, West Plains, Branson into Missouri, Joplin, Missouri as well. That stretches over into Emporia, Kansas, the Manhattan area. Chanute, Kansas, we definitely have the threat for that as well, into portions of that slight risk as we go into Friday. So definitely keeping a close eye on that for the northern areas. Let's look at the southern areas in the slight risk here on Friday for severe weather. Some of the areas further south into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas in the slight risk. This is level 2 out of 5. We're looking at Bartlesville, Tulsa, down into McAllister and Ardmore, the Stigler area into eastern Oklahoma. Into Arkansas we go here, Fayetteville down to Fort Smith, Arkansas, Conway down to Little Rock, and also Hot Springs, Arkansas in play with this. And then over here into portions of Texarkana, Paris, Dallas, Fort Worth, the Metroplex there, and stretching over towards portions of Tyler, Texas. You guys are all in that slight risk level 2 out of 5 for your Friday. So again, a lot of areas here in play for severe weather, and not to mention we even have a marginal risk extending down into Waco, Austin, San Antonio, and even over towards Shreveport and the Pine Bluff, Jonesboro area as well on the southern mode. So a lot of areas here in play for severe weather, as we definitely have the threat for severe weather growing on Friday. So let's look here at the entirety of the risk area for Friday. We actually do have a pretty decent area for hail. Again, hail has been a big deal this year for severe weather events. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Friday's severe weather threat is actually going to be driven by hail and tornadoes. The hail threat is going to be the biggest here, especially near the triple point up here where the low pressure system, warm front, and dry line cold front setup will be. And then further south along that dry line, all the way down into portions of eastern Kansas, western Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, and down there into northeast Texas. The highest hail threat is up here, again, near the triple point. That's where the instability, the wind shear will support real strong updrafts that could support those 50, maybe 60,000 foot storm tops there, all the way up there into Iowa, into the Omaha region, Kansas City, and those areas near St. Joseph. The tornado threat is also maximized up there as well. The Storm Prediction Center has a broad brush 2 to 5% risk area here across the Midwest, down there into the Arklatex. We're definitely keeping an eye on that. With that broad brush 2 to 5% area in the dark green and brown shaded color. But of higher interest is this area here into southwest Iowa, southeast and eastern Nebraska, northeast Kansas, and northwest Missouri. That is actually a 10% hatched risk for tornadoes. That means EF2 to EF5 strength tornadoes will be possible in that environment around Omaha there, stretching over towards St. Joseph, the Olathe area over there toward Kansas City. We'll be keeping a close eye on you as we go into Friday here. And again, they will be refining this as we go closer. And then the wind threat, just a broad brushed 5 to 15% chance of wind here, a marginal to slight risk for winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. So let's go back here to Weather Bell. Let's kind of show you the setup for severe weather as we go into your Friday afternoon and evening. So let's go here and look at the setup. As we go into Friday afternoon, notice the warm front is actually lifting north through the day. Okay, so as we go through that time frame here through the morning and into Friday afternoon, notice the warm front is lifting further north through the day. So we're going to actually start 7 o'clock in the morning in Des Moines. Our dew point is going to be 45 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe low 50s for a dew point up here into Omaha. And you're probably thinking as you walk outdoors, why are we having severe weather today? It doesn't feel like a severe weather day. Well, as the warm front lifts further north, look at the dew point start to increase by Friday afternoon. This is 4 o'clock. We start the day in Des Moines with a dew point in the mid-40s. We get to near 60 degrees with our dew point there, into the 60s, near 65 degree dew points as that warm front lifts north, mid-60 dew points there in Omaha near the triple point, and you can kind of see that arcing back. That means the low pressure system is actually sitting here in central and eastern Nebraska here. We have the backing of the winds toward the low. And remember, we always talk about this on this channel. low pressure systems, the airflow around them are counterclockwise. With the high pressure system, the airflow around those are clockwise. So when you have a low pressure system, when you hear the term backing of the winds, that means you have winds backing towards the low pressure system. Always remember that. Winds are backing towards the low pressure system, kind of like a vacuum, and that's kind of what we're seeing here as we go into Friday afternoon and then into Friday evening. That warm sector really starts to get ignited, especially with southward extent. Those dew points up near 70 there in Tulsa, into the Ardmore and McAllister area down into eastern Oklahoma, approaching 70 in Arkansas as well. So very juicy atmosphere as we go into Friday. We look at the instability, your CAPE, your convective available potential energy here. Notice Friday morning, the CAPE is down here into portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. The instability starts to build as that warm front moves further north. There's the triple point, folks. You can see the backing of the winds, kind of that curly Q here toward the low. You're going to have a little bit of clearing here. That could lead to 2,000, even locally 3,000 joules per kilogram of instability as we go into Friday afternoon. And then that continues to climb as we go into Friday evening before slowly getting pinched off a little bit as we go into the overnight hours there up towards the Midwest. So that's kind of what we're seeing. Let's look at the significant tornado parameter here for Friday, because this is significant. So the morning hours here on Friday, the significant tornado parameter values are highest into Kansas, down here into Oklahoma and North Texas. Those values are not off the charts, but we're still seeing 8s there at max across those areas. As we go into the afternoon, the warm front lifts north. Look at those values start to climb around the Kansas City area, around the Omaha region there. Definitely seeing those values climbing to a peak of 11s here at the highest, especially in and around the Kansas City region by 4 p.m. Central Time on your Friday here, and this could be a big deal. And then you can see as we go into the evening hours, look at those values, folks, near that triple point up there, especially into southern Iowa, northern and northwestern Missouri. Those values are peaking at 16, 17s, and that's out of 10, folks. That's out of 10. So that is a very significant value. And remember, for a SIG-TOR value, a significant tornado parameter space, greater than 1 is significant. So if we have a value greater than 1, that could produce a strong tornado. And we have values up to 16s and 17s tomorrow across portions, especially of eastern Kansas, northern northwest Missouri, and southern Iowa, especially near that warm front. Very, very concerning look here. So let's look here now at the timing of the storms as we go into Friday's threat. And you can see as we go through the morning hours, we're going to have ongoing convection across parts of the Midwest down into the Missouri Ozarks region. This is likely blow-off precipitation from Thursday evening, Thursday overnight's threat from the plains. So this is going to kind of develop more of a loosely organized MCS, or a mesoscale convective system. Basically fancy word for a lot of heavy rain and a lot of storm activity. While we could have some severe weather here, I think the most aggressive threat of severe weather would be flash flooding. I think flash flooding Friday morning will be a big deal from eastern Iowa down through Missouri there into the lower Missouri Valley, and even southwestern Illinois around St. Louis. We'll be watching that as well. And then the warm front you can see extending back there toward portions of Nebraska. Obviously, those storms are probably not going to be that strong early Friday morning. This is 10 a.m., but wouldn't be surprised to see maybe some hail producers here. Going into the noon time frame, notice those storms start to weaken. That means the low-level jet is starting to wane in intensity during the day. The low-level jet is always going to be stronger later in the day, and especially overnight. So we're going to see those storms weaken. But notice what happens here. 3 p.m., we start to see that low pressure system start to aggravate the environment downstream into eastern Nebraska, western Iowa, northeastern Kansas, and northwestern Missouri by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Notice these storms, very isolated in southeastern Nebraska, starting to pop up here as we go into your Friday mid-afternoon. This is 3 o'clock. As we go into 4 o'clock, boom, we get supercells near the triple point. The low pressure system sitting back here in Nebraska, warm front trying to lift north. We have the dry line set up. This is going to be significant, folks. If we can get supercells to develop very close to that low up here into southeast Nebraska, these could be some major tornado producers as we go into your late Friday afternoon. And this is prime daytime heating. This is 3, 4, 5 o'clock mid to late afternoon tomorrow afternoon. and this will be getting very close to Omaha. You'll be looking to the south and west there of Omaha. Then moving into the Omaha region by about 5 or 6 p.m. Central Time tomorrow with supercells capable of first strong to potentially violent tornadoes, potentially even some very large hail in excess of 2 inches in diameter. That's those hen egg sized hailstones we talked about. And then those 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts as these storms move through the Omaha metro area sometime between about 5 and 6 o'clock as it looks now. Those storms will be moving into Iowa, still with an attendant strong tornado threat as they move closer towards Des Moines, the Ames, Iowa region here, even Fort Dodge out here into Iowa. We'll be keeping an eye on that. This is 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. And then this kind of starts to turn a little bit more linear. While we still have a threat for tornadoes, this may turn to more of an elevated hail and wind threat as this pushes more into northern Iowa. I think for a tornado threat on the southern flank of this line of storms, that's where we'll be looking for the highest tornado threat going into Friday evening. This is 10 p.m. now as it crosses through Ames, Des Moines, and then further south. Maybe a couple storms could develop there even in northeastern Missouri. Notice though, even the southern mode down here. Let's look at the southern mode. You can see storms going through about mid-afternoon. This could kind of squelch the atmosphere a little bit of some energy further south into like the Branson, Missouri area, into downstate Missouri, into Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and northeast Texas. Very well possible that those storms kind of a lot of blow off cloud cover, but this model, the HRRR 12Z, kind of attempts to produce a few more storms in this environment as we go in towards mid-evening tomorrow around 9 p.m. from, say, the Jefferson City and Springfield area back toward Joplin, and then back there toward the McAllister region in Oklahoma. If those storms fire, tornadoes, damaging winds, and large to very large hail will be in play here, but I don't know how strong those storms will be because it depends on how strong and how long those storms will be around tomorrow morning. So that's more of a conditional risk, I think, further south. I think the more definite risk for strong tornadoes potentially is going to be further north into the Midwest. I really want you to watch. If you live into Nebraska, if you live in northeastern Kansas, if you live into western or central Iowa, if you live into northern or northwest Missouri on Friday afternoon and evening, watch the weather. We need everybody to watch the weather up in this area. I think a strong tornado, even a violent tornado threat tomorrow is in play as we go into, say, from 3 p.m. till about 10 p.m. in this time frame, okay? So that's a long time to wait. We're looking at 3 p.m. those storms fire in southeast Nebraska. Those supercells grow in maturity as we go in toward the 5 o'clock time frame, 6 o'clock time frame as they move toward Omaha, and then they'll move toward Ames, Des Moines, and Fort Dodge, Iowa as we get closer toward the early and mid-evening hours, 7, 8, 9, even 10 o'clock. So that is kind of what we're looking at for a timing there as we go into Iowa tomorrow evening. All right, so let's see here who's in the chat. Again, if you guys are joining, make sure to press the like button down below. I see we have well over 300 people here. Make sure, again, I appreciate you guys joining. All of you press the like button and subscribe here to Weather on the Go, as we're going to have a new forecast video tomorrow morning updating you all on what you can expect as we do get closer here. Let's see here. Is tonight going to be bad in Oklahoma? So let's look here at Oklahoma's threat for severe weather as we go into tonight. Remember, we have that enhanced risk down here in northwest Texas and southwestern Oklahoma for today. This does include tonight. Right now, looks like about 6 o'clock this evening, we're kind of waiting for storm initiation back here into the Texas Panhandle and West Texas. The cap has to erode, so we're going to have to wait on the capping inversion to weaken enough for storms to develop back here into Oklahoma. It doesn't really look like Oklahoma gets into play with severe weather until late in the event here. We're talking after midnight, so this is going to be a well after dark threat here into Oklahoma. We're talking the Lawton area, up to Elk City and El Reno, down to Fort Sill, and even across the area there into, say, like Vernon, Childress, and Wichita Falls, Texas. Those areas won't see storms until around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Those storms will start to develop, move closer to the Oklahoma City metro area, I would say around 4 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of the time frame we're looking at for later on. This is Friday morning, by the way. So this is 4 o'clock in the morning. I want you all to have your NOAA weather radios on and alert for these storms. storms because this will be well after midnight. A lot of us will probably be sleeping down here. But for Oklahoma, we're looking at the bad storms. Looks like between about midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning. So a very late event down here across the southern plains, the way it looks right now. Let's see, Junction City, Kansas. Let's look here. Looking at Kansas, regardless of where Junction City is, looks like the timing for Kansas. Right now, we have some storms moving through the afternoon here in eastern Kansas. These will be on their way out as they push into the Missouri region towards, say, the Ozarks as we go later on this afternoon. Western Kansas is where we're concerned about a strong tornado threat here. As we go into late afternoon, around 4 or 5 o'clock, we start to erode that cap here. We start to see one, maybe 2 or 3 supercells developing in northwestern and western Kansas, north and west of Dodge City as we go through around, again, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. Those could be readily potentially producing very large hail, also some damaging gusts up to 70 miles an hour, possibly even a strong tornado risk here as we go into the dinner time frame. Then we start to see upscale growth a little bit, a lot of different supercells. This model is showing maybe 4 or 5 supercells developing right near the Kansas and Nebraska state line. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. This is around 6, 7 o'clock time frame. And then as we go into the early evening hours, notice how those storms kind of cluster up and move mostly into Nebraska. Those storms will be more elevated, so hail and wind will be a threat. And the southernmost storm here is going to have the best chance of producing a tornado here with the inflow. We definitely have to watch that southernmost storm right on the Nebraska-Kansas state line or any other supercells that develop further south into central Kansas as we go into the evening hours. So Kansas, it's kind of late afternoon through late evening. That's kind of your time frame to watch for severe weather there in Kansas. And I think more storms will develop as they develop there into Oklahoma after midnight into Friday morning. Notice those storms start to blow up there across the Wichita region, Topeka, even up towards Kansas City. This is getting close to sunrise tomorrow. These could produce tornadoes, damaging straight line winds and large hail. So kind of multiple time frames to watch. Kansas, again, you're really kind of watching the radar from mid-afternoon all the way through the evening, early morning hours. So wherever Junction City is in Kansas, you just need to be on high alert all the way through the night. You're not really going to get a break from any severe weather until your Friday time frame for a time. So Michigan, you're not seeing any severe weather anytime soon, maybe on Sunday or Monday, but we're not talking about that here right on this live stream. We're worried about today, mostly today and Friday. We haven't even talked about Saturday on here. I don't think it's reasonable to go too far out. I think it's good to stay and talk about the here and now. Because severe weather is very, very challenging to predict, even sometimes the day of, and we want to be as accurate as possible. So we're not going to kind of jump too far ahead of ourselves here on the live stream. Eastern Iowa, there is a threat for some severe weather. I think your chance for severe weather starts to increase in eastern Iowa as we go into Friday. So for tomorrow, there's a marginal risk there. This includes the Dubuque, Iowa area, say down towards Maquoketa into the Davenport Quad Cities, Iowa City there, and Cedar Rapids, Waterloo. You're kind of on that slight risk line. So you're kind of in that slight risk level 2 out of 5 there on Friday. Saturday is when eastern Iowa gets into the threat of severe weather. You have a full slight risk of severe weather. That's a level 2 out of 5 there across eastern Iowa on Saturday. And honestly, in my opinion, Saturday looks to be the most impressive day for severe weather, because if you look at the probabilistic outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, notice the large area with hatch marks. This includes portions of Iowa, western Missouri, much of the state of Kansas, almost the entire state of Oklahoma besides the Panhandle and extreme southeastern Oklahoma, and then down into north central and central, even south central Texas as we go into Saturday. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So for eastern Iowa, it looks like Friday and Saturday could be your time frame to watch for severe weather. And then again, on Sunday. So you have 3 days of severe weather potential in eastern Iowa there. We'll be keeping a close eye on that. By the way, my cat is outside my door. So if you hear meowing, that is my cat, my lovely cat outside my door, wanting in here so badly. She wants to talk about weather as well. So I appreciate you guys all being here. My cat's like, man, a lot of severe weather. She has a lot of opinions about that. Yes, Bailey, I broke down Omaha, Nebraska. Again, go back and watch it. Omaha, Nebraska, we're looking at mainly a timing again for tomorrow around 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. So around your dinner time frame, Omaha, it could be some pretty intense supercells moving through between that time frame. Again, we've talked about Omaha several times here. It looks like we have around 5, 6 o'clock here as we go into Friday. That's when the most intense storms will be moving through, and then those storms will be moving east towards Ames and Des Moines as we go into the mid and late evening hours as we go into Friday there. Tulsa on Saturday. Again, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but if we're kind of looking at Tulsa here and talking about on Saturday, let's look at what we call the lightning flash density. Or instantaneous flash rate is what it's also called here. And you can see as we go through Saturday, looks like the Tulsa area needs to watch as we go into the afternoon and the evening hours. You could have a couple rounds of severe weather, one during the afternoon that moves through and the kind of a little lull in the activity sometime in the evening, and then a new round overnight. Again, this could be an after dark setup there for Tulsa. And these also, each round will be producing very heavy rain. So just know that flash flooding will also be an issue here into the Tulsa region as we go even deeper into the weekend. So again, without getting too specific, Saturday general timing, afternoon, a little lull in the activity early evening, and then picking back up late evening and overnight. So maybe a couple rounds of severe weather in Tulsa on your Saturday. And again, I'll have more updates on my videos as we go closer here to this event. You can count on that, all right? So I'll keep you updated on that. New video coming out on this channel tomorrow morning. Let's see here. Is there a chance that Saturday setup goes moderate? Yes, I think there's a very good chance Saturday gets upgraded to a moderate risk. Of course, if we look at the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center on Saturday right now, again, Saturday, as we know, it's only Thursday today. Saturday is, literally 2 days out. It's an enhanced risk still on day 3 is pretty significant in how big the area is for an enhanced risk as well across northwestern Missouri into east central Kansas, into central Oklahoma, and northern Texas here. We have that level 3 out of 5. Yeah, I definitely could see a moderate risk being upgraded into especially Kansas and Oklahoma as we get closer for Saturday. Again, I'm not going to try and speculate that right now, but I do think there's a decent chance that could happen. Yes, a moderate risk is higher than an enhanced. An enhanced risk is a level 3 out of 5. So if we look at the scale here and kind of look at this, here's the scale on the left-hand side of your screen. Actually, you can't see that potentially, so because my face is in the way. But okay, so a level 0 out of 5 is a normal general thunderstorm risk. Number 1 out of 5 is a marginal risk. That's your dark green area. Your yellow shaded color, that is a level 2 out of 5, a slight risk. Level 3 out of 5 is your orange area. That's an enhanced risk, much like we have today, tomorrow on Friday, and also on Saturday. And then a level 4 out of 5, that's a moderate risk. That's a step higher than an enhanced. That is a red shaded color. And then in the pink or magenta shaded color, that's the highest of the risk scale. That is a 5 out of 5, a high risk of severe weather. That's the Storm Prediction Center's severe risk scale. So hopefully you guys understand what the risk scale is there. So it goes marginal, it goes general thunderstorm risk, marginal, slight, enhanced, and then after that it goes moderate and then high. So that's kind of what we're looking at with this threat scale there on the Storm Prediction Center. Let's see here. I don't think they're going to issue a high risk. They won't issue a high risk until the day of. So that's what we're looking at for that. Oklahoma City, yeah, Oklahoma City has a threat for severe weather today down in that region. So let's actually look at the state of Oklahoma here, and we'll look at this right now. So here's the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma City is actually on the northeasternmost side of that enhanced risk, that southern enhanced risk. This also includes Norman, Lawton, Fort Sill, back to the Altus, Oklahoma region. So you have an enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5 today for the Oklahoma City area. And again, your threats today will be tornadoes. You have a 5% chance of a tornado there in Oklahoma City and Norman today. You also have a pretty significant threat for hail. You have a 30% chance of hail that could be up to 2 inches in diameter there in Oklahoma City and Norman. And also you have a 30% chance of wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour there in that region as well. That's for today. For tomorrow in Oklahoma City, you're on the kind of the back end of the severe weather threat. You're in the level 1 out of 5, that marginal risk in Norman and Oklahoma City there in the dark green. Severe weather, actually the threat for the most intense severe weather will be on Saturday for Oklahoma City and Norman, and really Oklahoma as a whole. I think down there, up into Enid, Bartlesville, Stillwater, up there to Ponca City, into Tulsa, Ada, down here to Ardmore, Lawton and Fort Sill, Oklahoma City and Norman, like I mentioned, and close to the Altus region. You guys are all in that enhanced risk of severe weather on Saturday. And this could also include the potential for some significant severe weather. So what does that mean? What is significant severe weather? Well, the Storm Prediction Center highlights significant severe weather by 3 things. This could be 1 or more things on that day. That could be 2-inch or larger hail. That would be significant hail. It could be EF2 to EF5 strength tornadoes. It also could be 75 plus mile per hour wind gusts. Those are the 3 criteria for significant severe weather that the Storm Prediction Center has for that potential as we go into Saturday. So that's something we're going to keep an eye on as we do get closer. And again, this does include the Oklahoma City area. Again, just joining, make sure to hit that like button, slap that like button. I really do appreciate it. Also, make sure to subscribe here to the channel. We'll be doing another update video for you tomorrow morning, so make sure you are tuning in for that. And also, by doing so, you would have to subscribe to the channel so you can see the video and get notified for it. So I really do appreciate that as well. We had a video released here today. You're welcome, Angel. Thank you so much for being here. The last high risk was last year, if I remember. Absolutely, I believe so, yes. The high risk was last year. The last one, I believe, was at the end of March 31st of 2023. Yes. That was a high risk in 2 areas. We had a bimodal high risk area. We had one up there in the Midwest, and we had another one down here in the middle to lower Mississippi Valley, down toward Arkansas and western Tennessee and stuff like that. That was last March 31st of 2023. Louisiana checking in. Thank you, Kimberly, for joining. I appreciate it. They don't have a basement there? Okay, well, make sure to have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings there, Kimberly. Very important, especially for events like that. Do I think they'll put Omaha, Nebraska in a high risk on Friday? I doubt it. I think they're actually going to stay as an enhanced risk. So let's go up here into Nebraska real quick. So you're talking about Friday. So here's Friday set up. There's Omaha. We have an enhanced risk of severe weather in Omaha there on Friday. They could upgrade this maybe to a moderate, I think, if some of the parameters remain the same, I think, or intensify. I very well could see this potentially on Friday getting upgraded to a moderate risk for places like Lincoln or Omaha or over there toward Des Moines or even down toward Kansas City. Very possible, but right now just an enhanced risk. And there is still a 10% hatch risk for tornadoes here, so it's not like it's a 0% chance of tornadoes. There is a real threat for strong tornadoes there in the Omaha and Lincoln area. That stretches down there to Falls City and Kansas City, Missouri. So a couple metropolitan areas that actually extends even over to Des Moines, Iowa, believe it or not, with that 10% hatch risk for tornadoes on Friday. I don't remember the time frame you were mentioning, Kimberly. Let's see here. You were talking about Saturday night. Just make sure to keep up to the date with the weather. Again, a lot of these severe weather events, since they're kind of back-to-back days, they kind of run into each other. So like what happens today across the plains will obviously affect tomorrow's threat scale for severe weather in the Midwest, up there into the Missouri Valley. And then Friday's severe weather threat will impact Saturdays. Saturdays will impact Sundays. It's kind of a domino effect. So we need to kind of make sure we're kind of putting our ducks in a row here. And again, just being real with you that severe weather will be be changing. These outlooks will be changing a lot over the next several days. So the outlook today could look a lot different this evening. The outlook tomorrow certainly could look different. Saturday's outlook will look a lot different. It's not going to always look like this. Severe weather is definitely very difficult to forecast. We're going to be real here and say that severe weather is not an easy thing to forecast all the time, and things always change with it. If you have one missing ingredient for severe weather, that throws everything off. If it's just a little less moisture than normal, say for example you have a forecasted dew point of 60 degrees, for example, near the warm front in Des Moines, but you only get to 55 degrees. Well, that's a little bit less instability than forecast, so that means the severe weather threat may be a little bit lower. Or on the other side of the spectrum, maybe on Friday or Saturday, the dew point in Des Moines is higher than it forecasted. Maybe you have a little bit higher instability than you think. Maybe the severe weather threat will increase. So that's kind of what we're looking at for the next several days is, again, the day-to-day is going to be very difficult here. Again, that's why we're mostly looking at Thursday and Friday, not really talking about Saturday much right now. Saturday's still 2 days away. Things can definitely change between now and 48 hours between now and then. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And that's why I'm doing videos for you folks on this channel. We'll keep you updated. You're welcome, Megan. Thanks for joining. Lincoln is where the storms are. No, Lincoln's going to see some storms as we go into Friday. Lincoln's going to see some storms. You guys have any questions about severe weather here over the next couple of days? Let's see. Will they put a moderate risk for southern and southeastern Oklahoma? Looking at the outlook here for that, I'm guessing you're talking about Saturday. Would have the best chance of that occurring there in Oklahoma. I think it's possible, if not likely, that a moderate risk is going to be issued as we do get closer to Saturday. But right now, again, for Oklahoma, it's probably, right now, it's just an enhanced risk. Just an enhanced risk there. Will a moderate come out? Probably as we get closer, to be quite honest with you. With the parameters we're looking at for Saturday, that's what we're looking at. If you're talking about, you said southeastern portions of Oklahoma, probably not. Maybe an enhanced risk upgrade as we get closer, but right now it's just a marginal to slight risk there. So towards like Muskogee, in towards the McAllister region, Stigler, over there to Hugo. You guys are all in that slight risk area on Saturday for severe weather. Could I talk more about Kansas? What do you want me to talk about with Kansas? I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you. If you have a specific question about Kansas, I can definitely answer it. But I don't know what you mean by talking more about Kansas. I can't help you there. Kansas has a threat for severe weather today, tomorrow, Saturday, and I believe on Sunday as well. Let me look. And on Sunday as well. So there's 4 days in a row of severe weather in Kansas. So there's your Kansas question. The answer to your Kansas question. Unless you have a specific question, folks, I can't help you. Let's see here. St. Louis. Yes, we have a threat for severe weather there in St. Louis. So let's go down here and look at Missouri real quick. So severe weather, no severe weather in St. Louis today. There's just a general thunderstorm risk here on your Thursday. Not a big deal. St. Louis increased to a marginal risk as we go into Friday. We have a slight risk just off to your west, but a level 1 out of 5 for severe weather in St. Louis on Friday. Going into Saturday's threat, St. Louis, you're back into kind of that borderline general thunderstorm 0 out of 5 to that 1 out of 5 marginal risk. You're kind of seeing more significant weather to your west. And then Sunday, St. Louis, again, you're kind of on the fine line. So it looks like your best chance of severe weather at the moment will actually occur on Friday there in the St. Louis region. The severe weather in St. Louis, again, I just mentioned it, the severity right now, isolated to scattered coverage of severe weather. Again, it's not a slam dunk for St. Louis. I think your most intense weather. Okay, so if you're talking most intense weather, let's go to the national view here. Let's go back to today. So the most intense weather today we'll be looking out for in western Kansas and then down here into northwest Texas, southwestern Oklahoma. For tomorrow, the most intense weather will be up here near the Triple Point into the Midwest and the Central Plains. We're talking about southwestern into central Iowa, northwest Missouri, northeastern Kansas, and eastern portions of Nebraska for the most intense on Friday, as it looks right now. As we go into Saturday, the most intense weather will be around Kansas City, down through Wichita, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and down towards Wichita Falls, maybe northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth. And then going into Sunday, that's just a question mark right now. We just don't know. Sunday is too far away. Severe weather threat in Omaha tonight. So if we're kind of looking at the Omaha region, it looks like storms will actually be firing up as we go in towards, say, the looks like the late evening, so like 10, 11 o'clock, and then going toward midnight. Those are mainly going to be hail producers and flash flooding. Flash flooding is actually going to be a threat here into the Omaha region as we go through, say, the early morning hours of Friday. So a lot of rainfall across this region. And if you kind of look here, the rainfall amounts are going to be pretty plentiful here. You can see just tonight alone, we could be seeing over an inch of rain near Omaha there, and even Lincoln, Nebraska. So some pretty heavy rain can be expected with this as well. Again, just joining, we're doing live Q&A, tornado outbreak coverage here. If you guys are just joining, I appreciate it. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we're almost to 88,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed here to Weather on the Go, make sure to smash that subscribe button down below. Hit the subscribe button, and I really do appreciate it. We are almost to 100,000. We're getting close. We're almost 12,000 away here. Would love to hit 88,000 subscribers on the channel here on the live stream today. That would be awesome. So I really would appreciate that. What will it take for them to put a tornado watch for Omaha, Nebraska? It would take the potential for tornadoes to occur. To be quite honest with you, if there's a chance of tornadoes, they will put a tornado watch there for Omaha. That's essentially what that would be. Thank you, Wyatt. I appreciate it. Tornadoes for South Central Kansas tonight, Joe. Let's look here. So we're going to look at the 16Z. This is the newest data that we have that just came out here for talking about Kansas here in the plains. So we're going down here into Kansas. It looks like storms start firing here. Supercells in western Kansas around 6 o'clock. South Central Kansas, you may see a storm today, maybe late evening. Otherwise, early Friday morning, storms will be moving through there in South Central Kansas. This will be like 3 o'clock in the morning. Other than that, you may not even see a drop of rain potentially in some of these areas there. There may be areas in Kansas where you don't see a drop of rain. The best chance of that occurring would be southwest Kansas as it looks right now because of the capping inversion out there. We'll just have to keep a close eye on that as we get closer. Just have to keep a close eye on it. You're welcome, Joe. You're welcome. The chance of tornadoes in Oklahoma City on Saturday is rather high. It's a pretty high chance there of tornadoes. Right now, there's not a probability for any one hazard there. But if you're looking at Oklahoma there on Saturday, you have an enhanced risk of severe weather there. Again, this includes Enid, Bartlesville, Tulsa, Stillwater, Ponca City, Oklahoma City Metro, Norman included, Moore, Oklahoma included. That stretches down to Ada and Ardmore, and then down toward the Red River Valley there into Lawton and Fort Sill. Those are the areas in the enhanced risk in Oklahoma, some of the bigger metro areas there. On Saturday, again, I could see a moderate risk upgrade as we get closer. We'll just have to wait. Again, Saturday is a couple days away. We'll just have to wait and see how that all works out. We'll definitely have to wait and see. I can't speculate how many tornadoes Iowa will see. I just know that the threat for tornadoes in Iowa is actually going to be going up as we go into Friday and Saturday. Friday and Saturday are the greatest chances for tornadoes in Iowa. Right now, short term, Friday looks to be a pretty decent day for tornadoes if you live from Des Moines westward toward Omaha there. In western Iowa, southwest Iowa, you have a 10% chance of a strong tornado there within a 25-mile radius in that region. So if we look at Iowa here, there's your threat for Friday. So you have a tornado threat for Friday. So if you live in Carroll, Iowa, Sioux City, Fort Dodge, Ames, Des Moines, Atlantic, Iowa, Council Bluffs, and then down toward Lamani, some of those areas that you're familiar with, we could have a 10% chance. Yes, a 10% chance of an EF2 or stronger tornado as we go into Iowa there. Waterloo, Mason City, Spencer, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, down to Burlington. You guys all have a 2% chance of tornadoes just west of the Metro Quad Cities. And then over here toward Ottumwa, those areas have a 5% chance of a tornado on Friday. That is the threat zone. We also have a chance of some pretty decent hail as well. So if you live on western Iowa, southwestern Iowa, essentially from Fort Dodge to the Ames and Des Moines area on west towards Omaha and Sioux City, you guys have essentially a pretty decent chance of some very large hail over 2 inches in diameter as well through that time frame. So we'll be keeping a close eye on you there. For Missouri, so let's look at Missouri here. You guys are asking about that once more, so let's pull up Missouri. Again, for today, the tornado threat in Missouri, the entire state of Missouri has a 0% chance of a tornado today. If we go into Friday here, northwest Missouri up toward Maryville, St. Joseph, Kansas City, and Chillicothe, Missouri have the best chance of a strong tornado, or just a tornado in general, but you have a chance of stronger tornadoes up there with that 10% hatch risk. Basically, the entire state of Missouri has a chance of a tornado tomorrow, except for maybe the foothills down here near Cape Girardeau and southward. Other than that, the entire state of Missouri has at least a 2% chance, a 5%, or even a 10% chance, with the best tornado potential up there near Kansas City, St. Joseph, Maryville, and Chillicothe into northwest Missouri on Friday. And then, of course, going into Saturday, there could be some stronger tornadoes in that very same area as well. So I'm going to put the outlook on the screen for you folks that are just joining for today's threat for severe weather. And I'm not sure why. Just 1 second, folks. Whoops. There we go. There's the outlook for severe weather as we go through today. Again, a bimodal enhanced risk threat. Western portions of Kansas has a level 3 out of 5 and enhanced risk. We have northwest Texas into southwestern Oklahoma with an enhanced risk. It's mainly driven by hail and also some tornadoes as we go through today. The tornado threat is greatest across western Kansas. You should know where if you live in a trailer during a tornado warning, you should know immediately where your safe shelter is. They should have storm shelters nearby, near a trailer park. It's never good to be in that situation, and you definitely do not want to be in a mobile home during a tornado warning. That is definitely a very bad idea. You should know exactly where your storm shelter is for that. I don't expect Arkansas to see anything too significant for today. For Arkansas, as we go into Friday, there's a slight risk in western and northwestern and even northern Arkansas there. From Jonesboro to Little Rock, down to Texarkana and northwest of a line from there. Slight risk of severe weather tomorrow. And then, a marginal to slight risk in Arkansas on Saturday. And then going into Sunday, again, it's western, northwest Arkansas. So if you live in like eastern Arkansas, like closer to the Mississippi River, you're not going to see really any severe weather very much during this entire event through the weekend. It's mainly western, northwestern, and northern Arkansas that has the best chance of severe weather in the state of Arkansas over the next few days. That's kind of what we're looking at. Minnesota, you're fine. You're not going to see anything too significant. Heavy rain, and that's about it. You're not seeing much of anything there in Minnesota. No, severe weather today, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, here's today's outlook. Here's today's outlook for the Great Plains. This is Friday right here. This is Friday. Okay, you can see from the Midwest down to the Southern Plains again. Here's Saturday. This is all the way, stretches all the way up to Canada, folks. This goes all the way to Ontario. We have a threat for severe weather. Look at that. Northern lower Michigan even has a slight risk there as we go into Saturday. Wisconsin, northern Illinois. And then you can see it stretches all the way down to the Texas-Mexico border on Saturday. And then going into Sunday, again, another day for severe weather. Again, we don't know the extent of the severe weather on Sunday quite yet. But right now that stretches again from the Midwest down to the Southern Plains. So kind of a broken record of severe weather over the next few days in very, very similar areas and very similar threats of severe weather. Mostly strong tornadoes, damaging winds, hail, the whole 9 yards there. That's what we're keeping an eye on. So yeah, northeast Oklahoma, we have a marginal risk of severe weather for today. Into Friday, northeast Oklahoma has a slight risk of severe weather. Into Saturday, northeast Oklahoma is in an enhanced risk of severe weather. On Sunday, northeast Oklahoma has a slight risk of severe weather. You have 4 days of severe weather. Today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in northeast Oklahoma. Again, make sure to have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings there into northeastern Oklahoma during that period. Hey folks, we only need 60 more people, all right? 60 people to subscribe to this channel right now, and then we'll be at 88,000, okay? So we're almost to 90,000, which means we're almost to 100,000. We only need 60 more people to subscribe to the channel, and we'll be at 88,000 subscribers here during the live stream. That would be pretty cool. No, Saturday's threat there in Wichita is very real. There's no conditional threat about Saturday. Saturday is a very big threat for, let me zoom in here to Kansas so we can see Wichita real quick. Let's look at that real quick. Kansas. So here we go to Kansas. We have the threat first and foremost for Wichita, slight risk today. That could include, again, large hail, tornadoes, and potentially some damaging winds. As we go into Friday, Wichita, you have a kind of a normal thunderstorm risk to a marginal risk that's a level 1 out of 5. The big day for severe weather in Wichita, you're right in the middle of the enhanced risk. You're in a level 3 out of 5 there in the Wichita region on Saturday. So we're keeping a close eye on that for Saturday. And this could include, again, significant severe weather right there in Wichita. This could include, again, for the Storm Prediction Center, significant severe weather means one or more of these things. 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts or stronger, 2-inch or larger hail, a 10-egg size or larger, and EF2 tornadoes or stronger. That could be all the way up to EF5 strength. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on there in Wichita. As we go into Saturday, I think Saturday locally is going to be the biggest day, the busiest day for severe weather across the U.S. And on a widespread scale, but also intensity type of scale as well. You're welcome, Sarah. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much, Matthew. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Yeah, 5% for tornadoes for Sunday. Probably a 2 to 5% area. I think the greatest tornado threat there on Sunday, if we kind of go to Sunday's outlook, again, I don't like to speculate too much. We don't try to do that here too much on the channel. Just 1 second here. Oops, don't want to do that again. So like up in this area on Sunday, like eastern Iowa, northern Missouri, northwest Illinois, and southwest Wisconsin, that's probably the area where we have the greatest tornado threat on Sunday, where we have the greatest overlap of low-level shear, moisture, instability. But I wouldn't be surprised if areas further south into like Arkansas and stuff see that on Sunday. But again, Sunday is so far away still. It's really not that far away, but for severe weather standards, it is actually kind of far away. So we're not going to kind of dive into Sunday quite yet. We're not going to dive into Sunday quite yet and talk about that. And actually, we really didn't dive into Saturday either because, again, a lot of things can change between now and then, so we'll keep a close eye on that. Hey folks, guess what? We're 48 subscribers, just 48 people away from being at 88,000. I need your help, and I think we can do it today in the live stream. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you want to help me get to 100,000 subscribers, what better way than helping me get to 88,000 here right on this live stream? I really do appreciate it. Do you think we will get any initiation along the Kansas-Missouri border on Friday? So let's look here at Friday, and we have to go back to the 12Z run. So the Kansas and Missouri border. So here's Friday morning. Yes, Kansas, Missouri border. There we go. We got storms moving through already at 8 o'clock in the morning. These likely won't be very severe, just producing a lot of heavy rain, maybe some smaller hail, gusty winds, the tornado threat very low. We'll have a lull in the action, and then storms mainly to the north. I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 rogue supercells develop there. It really just depends on the instability, how it recovers, how the atmosphere recovers as we go a little bit more in towards the afternoon, evening there on Friday for the Kansas and Missouri border. Kansas City still watch it, but I think up near the low pressure storm track is where we're really kind of watching for the more intense supercells as we go closer towards, say, Omaha into Fort Dodge, Iowa, and towards the Sioux City area, Des Moines, Ames, those areas as we go further to the north. But I think Kansas, Missouri border, yes, we could still see some storm initiation. It's going to be more isolated there further to the south on Friday. So your best chance of thunderstorms will actually be early in the morning. How does Davenport, Iowa and Moline, Illinois location for Friday through Saturday? Okay, so we're looking here at the Iowa region. So going into Friday through Sunday, there's Davenport. Davenport, Iowa has a marginal risk of severe weather on Friday. For severe weather, that's a level 1 out of 5 on the scale. The tornado threat in Davenport is essentially 0, the 2%, very close, but right now it's a 0. We're mainly looking at wind and hail for Friday for the threat there in Davenport. Winds to 60 miles an hour and some quarter-size hail. The threat is greatest as we go into Saturday. We have a slight risk of severe weather for the entire Quad Cities metro area there into Davenport and Moline. This is a 2 out of 5 on the scale. This could get upgraded as well, but right now a 2 out of 5 there for Saturday. And then as we go into Sunday as well, we have a slight risk currently for the Davenport Quad Cities region. Again, this includes Rock Island, Moline, Clinton, Iowa, down there to Davenport, Muscatine, Bettendorf, those areas. You guys all have a 2 out of 5 mainly for Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday are your greatest chance for severe weather into the Davenport Quad Cities region there. So we'll be keeping a close eye on you folks as well. North Central Illinois, Henry and Bureau County specifically. So you're talking about like Geneseo, I'm assuming, Kewanee and Princeton, those areas. Same thing, I think, for if we go back through today, you're fine. As we go into Friday, you have a marginal risk of severe weather in Henry County and Bureau County. Down into the I-80 corridor in Illinois, you have a marginal risk. Again, it's going to be for wind and hail. The tornado threat is essentially 0. Going into Saturday in the Henry County and Bureau County, you guys are both there in both counties into a slight risk of severe weather. That is a level 2 out of 5. So watching out for all modes of severe weather. And same thing for Sunday, a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 there in Henry and Bureau County. Again, from Princeton over to Geneseo, Anawan, and also into the Kewanee region in Illinois, you guys have a slight risk. So your best chance of severe weather there is Saturday and Sunday, both days so far this weekend. We'll be keeping a close eye on that as well. Thoughts on St. Joseph, Missouri? The St. Joseph area right now, I really see the biggest threat for severe weather actually being tomorrow on Friday. It looks like down here toward Kansas City, you have an enhanced risk, St. Joseph as well on Friday, and also an enhanced risk on Saturday. So actually St. Joseph, you have back-to-back threats of severe weather, enhanced risk. That's a level 3 out of 5 for back-to-back days, Friday and Saturday. So I want you to make sure you have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings. And even St. Joseph on Sunday, you have a slight risk of severe weather. So 3 days in a row of severe weather in St. Joseph, of slight risk and 2 enhanced risks there coming up. How did I know? Yes, I am from Northern Illinois. I live west of Chicago. I'm very familiar with the Tigers from Princeton, Illinois. Yes, I live very close to Princeton. I live about an hour away, so I have very good knowledge of a lot of the cities there in Northern Illinois, and a lot of the counties as well. So, yeah, you're welcome, Penny. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Yes, Des Moines is at risk for 3 days in a row. Yes, Friday, Des Moines, Iowa is in an enhanced risk for tomorrow. This does include a significant tornado risk. So remember that into the Des Moines and Ames region. Also a hail risk. We could have a very large hail threat there in Des Moines as well. And then looking at Saturday, right now you're under a slight risk of severe weather in Des Moines. Significant severe weather possible there as well on Saturday. And then in Des Moines on Sunday and up to the Ames region, you guys are also under a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 there in that region as well. So several days of severe weather in the same areas. Yeah, we are now 38 subscribers away, folks. Just 38 subscribers from 88,000. If you want to help me get to 88,000 before the end of the live stream, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and like the live stream here while you're here. I really do appreciate it. We are literally 38 subscribers from 88,000. I really appreciate it. Mississippi, we're not seeing any severe weather there. And to Mississippi, weak thunderstorms, probably yes, weak thunderstorms, if any. I think a lot of the severe weather is going to be out of Dixie Alley for once. We've had a lot of severe weather the last couple of years in Dixie Alley. I don't really expect a lot of severe weather in Dixie Alley this season, to be quite honest with you. There will still be severe weather this season in Dixie Alley still, but I think it's going to be pretty quiet for the rest of the severe weather season compared to normal. Thank you, Vince. Just subbed. How is Michigan looking in your opinion? Right now, Michigan has the best chance. So, like, if we pull up Michigan here, Michigan doesn't have any severe weather to worry about here for today or on Friday. So today and Friday are fine there in Michigan. It's Saturday. Michigan has the threat of severe weather. This could include lower Michigan and also the UP, the upper peninsula of Michigan as well. You have the Traverse City area down towards Alpena, the Mount Pleasant region, Grand Rapids, Lansing, Saginaw, Flint, Alma, Ann Arbor. You guys are very close into that and marginal slight risk zone for severe weather on Saturday. And then that's kind of your only day for severe weather as it looks right now. So Michigan, it looks like Saturday's your day for the potential severe weather. The highest chance is the southern upper peninsula of Michigan and the northern part of lower Michigan there. That is your best chance of severe weather. Up around Traverse City, Grand Rapids, Mount Pleasant, and all up there toward Alpena. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. On the Alpena, Michigan region. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. My opinion on severe weather in Oklahoma. Oklahoma, my opinion is Oklahoma is going to get hit hard, especially on Saturday. I think Oklahoma is going to get hit hard by severe weather on Saturday. I laughed because I've covered Oklahoma several times already today. But I know you may be new to the channel here. So again, I appreciate you being here. Again, Oklahoma today, an enhanced risk of severe weather. Oklahoma City, Norman down to Lawton and Altus. And then down here into Oklahoma tomorrow. And then in Oklahoma's biggest threat by far is Saturday. This could be upgraded to a moderate risk of severe weather. Other than that, I think Oklahoma, you're kind of in the epicenter of the severe weather, if you will, as we do get closer to the weekend. So, yeah, folks, we are now 29. We're 29 subscribers away from hitting 88,000. If you have not pressed the subscribe button and you want to, and you are new and you have not, make sure to do so before you leave the live stream here today. We are getting so close. We're getting so close. How's the Dallas, Texas region Friday and Saturday? So let's look here at Texas real quick. So yeah, let's go down here to, you said for Friday and Saturday, so let's go down here to Dallas. So you have a slight risk of severe weather in Dallas, Fort Worth there on Friday. On Saturday, you have also a slight risk. So you have a slight risk for severe weather in Dallas actually tomorrow and on Saturday and actually Sunday as well. You have a slight risk of severe weather in Dallas. So 3 days in a row of slight risks, and you have a marginal risk actually today. So 4 days in a row of severe weather potential in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We'll definitely be keeping you covered on that. Vicksburg, Mississippi, Sunday, Monday, you're not seeing any severe weather. Vicksburg will be fine. Grand Rapids, Michigan. I think I just covered that a second ago, but I can go back. Let's see here. Grand Rapids, you're fine for today and tomorrow. Grand Rapids, your only chance for severe weather, and it's a marginal risk, a level 1 out of 5, just for wind and hail, is mainly for Saturday. Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and overnight. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think Michigan's going to see really much severe weather, but there is a slight to marginal risk there. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Again, I'll have more updates on my videos. Again, subscribe to the channel, everyone, if you haven't. We'll be keeping you updated on this. Again, we'll have another weather forecast video as we go through tomorrow, breaking down the threats, the severe weather setup, the timing of the storms, what you can expect with the risks of severe weather, the whole 9 yards, with a video update tomorrow as well. Yep, next to Traverse City. Yep, you up here into the Gaylord, Michigan region, you guys are in a slight risk of severe weather. Hopefully I pronounced that right as well. Traverse City and up into northern lower Michigan, you guys have a slight risk of severe weather there, and that is for Saturday. That is for Saturday. Thank you, Greg. Thanks for being here. Thank you for Drew as well. Drew Ferguson. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're 25. We're 25 subscribers away from hitting 88,000. 25. We're almost there, folks. No, I'm not surprised by that at all, Drew. I'm actually, the storm, the low pressure system, the triple point is actually up there into Nebraska. There's the supercells capable of producing stronger tornadoes there in eastern Nebraska, southeastern Nebraska too, as we go into tomorrow. This is peak heating, folks. This is 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, Lincoln, Nebraska, over to Omaha could get very, very busy there for late afternoon, early evening, potentially with some pretty strong supercells that could be producing all hazards, very large hail, strong tornadoes, potentially even a violent tornado, and some damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. Definitely a possibility there into eastern and southeastern Nebraska on your Friday afternoon and evening. So we'll be going over all the new data as we go into tomorrow. We'll be keeping you updated on that. We'll be definitely keeping you updated on that. Arkansas, I don't think storms are going to be that intense in Arkansas most of the event. I think there will be times where we could have severe weather. I really think Arkansas's biggest threat for severe weather will actually be, I believe, let me go here to Arkansas. Your biggest chance of severe weather will either be tomorrow there into, again, it's mainly western Arkansas, northwestern Arkansas, and northern Arkansas. You have a slight risk tomorrow on Friday. You have a kind of a marginal to slight risk in northwestern Arkansas on Saturday. And then again, it's western Arkansas, northwestern, and northern Arkansas again. Basically a line from about Batesville to Conway and Little Rock and Arkadelphia, north and west. That's where we have the threat for a slight risk of severe weather or higher. Basically for the entirety of the weekend, we'll be keeping you updated on that. Dayton, Ohio, you're not going to see any severe weather. If you're in the Ohio Valley, you guys get a big break from the severe weather. You guys are not going to see severe weather in the Ohio Valley region this weekend at all. I just zoomed in on Little Rock. I just did that. Kansas, your threat for severe weather is going to be tonight. You have a threat for severe weather in Kansas as we go through tonight. And I'm trying to find it here. There's Kansas. So tonight we have a threat for severe weather in Kansas. Again, it's for Colby, Hill City, Hayes, back to Garden City and Dodge City, and enhanced risk there. Tomorrow it's eastern Kansas, so we're talking Topeka in towards Manhattan, Emporia, Kansas, down to Coffeyville and Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Kansas. That's a slight risk to even an enhanced risk as we go up towards Topeka there, and even Kansas City, Missouri, and northeast Kansas as we go into Friday. We have a large enhanced risk of severe weather in Kansas. This includes Salina, down to Pratt, Hutchinson, Wichita, Emporia, Topeka, Manhattan, Olathe, Kansas City, down to Coffeyville again, Fort Scott, near Pittsburgh, Kansas. This is mainly for central and eastern Kansas on Saturday. And then Sunday, again, it's basically eastern Kansas there as we go into Sunday. So again, there's multiple days of severe weather. If you live in the state of Kansas, you're going to have a chance of severe weather at some point over the next 4 days. We are now 20 people away. We are 20 people away from hitting 88,000. I really appreciate it. If you have not hit the subscribe button yet, make sure to do so down below. Make sure to press the like button down below. It really helps out more than you know. I appreciate that. Yeah, Minnesota is going to see some decent rains. So if I go up here, let's look real quick here at the Minnesota region. So here's Minnesota, right? There's Minnesota. Let's go to the Euro model here at 12Z. This is new data, folks, that just came in. So we're going to go all the way to May 1st. So here's the morning of May 1st, Wednesday, May 1st. The entire state of Minnesota, outside of maybe an isolated area or two, should have an inch of rain on the ground new rain accumulation on the ground between now and Wednesday, May 1st. That's what we're seeing. So this is definitely going to chip away at the drought up here. So that's some great news. Some areas may actually see over 2 inches of rain in pockets there. One pocket mainly up into northeastern Minnesota, maybe another pocket toward Rochester, Minnesota down here into southeastern Minnesota, maybe another pocket down here into southwestern Minnesota. But yes, we're going to be chipping away at the drought down across that region as we do get closer towards May. So that's some great news. Even northern Iowa, northeast Iowa, Waterloo, down towards Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, those areas in northeastern Iowa, central Iowa there, you guys have a severe and extreme drought continuing. I expect that to improve significantly here, if not be erased very soon, as we have 3 to 6 inches worth of rain coming, but just between now and basically May 1st. So a lot of rain coming there for northeastern Iowa as well. Central Illinois, Jamie. Yeah, we can go look here at Central Illinois, the graphic here. So let's look at the state of Illinois here on this real quick. So if we pull up Illinois, there's no threat for severe weather today at all. So there's no threat for severe weather in Illinois today. There's a marginal risk in Illinois, central Illinois, around Peoria, Galesburg, and Bloomington Normal region as we go into Friday. That's mainly for hail and wind. The tornado threat is basically non-existent unless you live into western Illinois, over toward Quincy, Hannibal, or the eastern side of the St. Louis metro. And then down here on Saturday, central Illinois on Saturday has the best chance of severe weather, mainly north of I-74 towards Peoria and northward. And then again, as we go into Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday are kind of your best chances in central Illinois there. Again, kind of along a line from Ottawa and LaSalle, Peru, Illinois, to Peoria and Pekin and Washington, Illinois, down to Springfield and west. That's kind of the area. And kind of, if you want an even better dividing line, along and west of I-39 is probably the best chance of severe weather this weekend in Illinois. Along and north of I-74 and along and west of I-39 is your best chance of severe weather there into Illinois this weekend. I already talked about Arkansas. You'll have to rewind it. I already talked about Arkansas a few times. I said western, northwestern, and northern Arkansas have the best chances of severe weather with this event over the next few days. I just covered that literally a few minutes ago, but just rewind the live stream. That's all right. You guys can always rewatch it. Folks, we have 13 more subscribers. We are 13 people away from hitting 88,000. I would love to end this live stream here with 88,000 subscribers. So if you can help me get there, I really would appreciate it. It looks like St. Louis, Missouri is right on the edge tomorrow. Thoughts on that? So let's look here at Missouri. Yeah, you're on the edge. I think St. Louis is mainly isolated because if we come over here and look at the HRRR model, let's move down here into the central. There's St. Louis down here. Let's look at the reflectivity as we go into tomorrow in St. Louis. Again, tomorrow's threat for St. Louis here is going to be mainly going to be confined to the morning. We have some showers and storms. These likely won't be very severe at all, just mainly producing some heavy rainfall mid to late morning. More storms coming in. I think maybe a severe threat in St. Louis tomorrow evening is possible, but it's not a slam dunk. Definitely a possibility though. Make sure to have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings there. I think it's very possible that we have some damaging winds and hail around there in St. Louis on Friday evening. But other than that, it's mainly a morning event with some heavy rainfall. In St. Louis, we could be picking up, actually, let's look at the precipitation here. St. Louis could be picking up literally around an inch of rain. So 3/4 of an inch to an inch of rain in St. Louis between now and Saturday morning over the next couple of days. So it's some decent soaking rains there in St. Louis as well. Look at the heavy swath of rain from Nebraska into Iowa here of around 2 to 4 inches of rain. Basically from Waterloo to Des Moines, west through Omaha into Lincoln and North Platte, those areas into Nebraska, the Hastings region, Kearney, Nebraska as well. You guys all have a threat of about 2 to 4 inches of rain just between now and Saturday morning, and even more rain on the way after that. So a very, very wet weather pattern we are in with a lot of moisture here. All those dew points, when you go outside and you feel those 60-degree dew points, they call it air you can wear, because you can feel the moisture as you go outside with those muggy days, very high dew point, rich environment. All that moisture you feel is actually going to be in the form of rain with these storms. Very efficient rainfall producers. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Flash flooding will be a risk across these areas as we have multiple rounds of storms, whether or not they're severe or not, but we're going to have multiple rounds of storms moving through, and this is actually going to worsen the flash flooding through it day after day, going through the weekend time frame. Oh, you're on vacation in Arkansas. I think western, northwestern Arkansas and northern Arkansas, like north and west of Little Rock, you're going to get hit the hardest. So Fayetteville down to Fort Smith, those are the areas that I expect to see the most rain and the most severe weather potential. If you're south and east of Arkansas, the closer you get to Mississippi, Louisiana, or Tennessee, you're going to have less of a chance for heavy rain and severe weather. So that's kind of the way it looks right now. Yeah, we're just 7 people away from hitting 88,000, folks. Thank you so much for all the new subscribers on here. I really do appreciate it, folks. We are almost to 88,000. We're 7 people away, so we're getting very close. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to smash that subscribe button and like button on here. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Harley. I appreciate the support. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, and Omaha tomorrow is going to be very interesting to see. You're kind of in the triple point there. You can see those storms, supercells developing west of Omaha tomorrow around 3 p.m. They'll be moving into Omaha between 5 and 6, and then moving east of Omaha after 6 o'clock into the 7, 8, 9 o'clock time frame. We'll be definitely keeping an eye on that. I definitely think that the Omaha region could get some intense severe weather, potentially even some stronger tornado potential late afternoon, early evening on Friday. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. Because we're going to have storms going on before sunrise. Those will move out. How the cloud cover works out, how much sunshine do we see? Do we see a lot of sunshine? If the sun pokes out there in Omaha later in the morning, early afternoon, that will recharge, re-energize the atmosphere. That could lead to significant severe weather later in the day. So we don't want to see sunshine. These are kind of the type of days where you don't want to see sunshine. You want a lot of low clouds, a lot of drizzle, a lot of rain showers around, because the more drizzle and the more rain showers you have and the more cloud cover you have, the better, because that will actually kind of dampen the severe threat. It'll kind of suppress it from being very strong and intense. And that's kind of what we want. We don't want a lot of severe weather. We hope for the cloud cover and not the sunshine on these type of days, especially Friday and Saturday. If you have any sunshine Friday, Saturday, and you're in a risk area of severe weather, make sure to remain especially aware, because that's going to actually make the atmosphere even more charged up for the potential there. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Uh-oh, who's going to do it, folks? We're at 87,999. We're only 1 subscriber away from 88,000. Who's going to do it? Who's going to push us past 88,000? I really appreciate it. Yeah, near the warm front, Ryan. I think if you're near the warm front on Saturday, that is going to be the area to watch. So near the warm front, the triple point, and then all along the dry line on Saturday is going to be the area to watch there on that day. Next stop 90,000. That's the hope. Thank you so much, Harley, for your support. I appreciate it. I don't like to speculate, Brian, about the high risk. I think anything's on the table right now. But right now, I think there's a better chance Saturday of a moderate risk than a high risk. I think a high risk is a little far-fetched right now. I don't think a high risk would be issued. I think a moderate risk is probably an enhanced risk right now is fine, but I think a moderate risk will probably be issued for Saturday if the ingredients still remain consistent of kind of what they look like today there for Saturday. And let's kind of look at the new data that's coming in for Saturday as well. Let's go over here to the NAM model. And let's look at the dew points here. Let's look at the moisture on the NAM model for Saturday. So this is the 12Z run. This is just coming out. Look at Saturday, folks. Look at the afternoon, evening. Look at those dew points across the Midwest, the central and southern plains, well into the 60s. The warm front hanging up there in central Wisconsin, central and northern Iowa, back into southeast Nebraska. You got the low pressure system over here into western Kansas. You can see that backing of the winds. We got the low pressure triple point back here into Kansas. We need to watch that as well near the warm front and dry line. We have to watch the dry line back here into Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas as that shifts east. Look at the instability, folks. Now, this is a summer type of instability reservoir. This is a reservoir you look at instability in like July, folks. This is April. And when you have instability up in Iowa of 4,000 joules per kilogram, in late April, that is a lot of energy, folks. That's what the NAM model is showing right now. So we need to keep an eye on this. This is a lot of instability, and even instability along the dry line down here in Kansas, into Oklahoma, into Texas is over 3,000, even approaching 4,000 joules per kilogram here as we go through the day. And look at that, the instability, especially with southward extent on Saturday. Look at this is midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, folks. Even Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, still areas of 20,000. Yeah, that would be a lot, wouldn't it? 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram of instability across portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas there as we go into that time frame. So a lot of instability there. And look at the mid-level jet that this is showing as well. Very strong jet maximum there across portions of Kansas and Oklahoma. Very strong, ferocious. I mean, folks, look at this low-level jet. Saturday afternoon already cranking in around 50 knots. Already going into Saturday evening, cranking up to 60 knots. And then Saturday night, look at through Missouri there. Look into eastern Kansas, into northeastern Oklahoma. Over 70 knots of a low-level jet. That is incredibly energized atmosphere, folks. These storms on Saturday will definitely have the chance to rotate and produce some strong, if not violent, tornadoes if these parameters continue to hold together. So we'll definitely keep an eye on this this day as we do get closer. Even the 250 millibar, the upper level jet streak, very impressive looking. We have a negatively tilted trough here on Saturday. Yes, Saturday definitely has a chance to become a moderate risk day for severe weather, and we'll keep an eye on this as we do get closer. I try not to eat cookies, actually, but I appreciate it. Thank you. I try not to eat cookies. Thank you so much, Grant. I appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you, Ryan Garcia, for being here. I really do appreciate it. The Kansas City area looks like tornadoes and very large hail is going to be the biggest risk there for severe weather this weekend. So make sure to have multiple ways, again, to receive watches and warnings if you do live in those areas. All right, folks, I think that's going to do it for me here with the Q&A. We've been on here for almost 2 hours now, an hour and 42 minutes. I really do appreciate it. If you guys have any more questions, comments, concerns, make sure to put them down in the comment section after the video and live stream is over. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button on the way out. I really do appreciate it. We'll probably be doing more of these live stream Q&As and maybe even official severe weather analysis and live radar coverage as we go through these severe weather events potentially this weekend. Otherwise, more weather forecast videos will be out ready for tomorrow on this channel. So make sure to subscribe to this channel. I'll keep you covered with more weather forecast videos with accurate weather forecasts across all of southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics as we go into the weekend. For Weather on the Go here, thank you so much for watching. Have a great and safe rest of your Thursday. Stay safe out there, everybody. Goodbye.